OpenGov, what is it? Why is it important? These are some of the questions that we're going to be hopefully asking and answering in this video. And when I say OpenGov, of course, I'm referring to Polkadot's on-chain governance system, which I think is important not just for the Polkadot ecosystem, but the world at large. And we're going to be talking about these concepts in this video and this idea of a decentralized government, which as we move towards an ever more digital world is of vital importance. And Polkadot is absolutely leading the way. Now I need to be careful here that no bears run out. That would be rather ironic. Somebody like myself, as bullish on the cryptocurrency market as I am, getting eaten by a bear. You could imagine the Cointelegraph headline. Wouldn't that be ironic? But Polkadot OpenGov, let's start there. Let's talk about what it is. So it's this idea of a decentralized governing system over a network, over Polkadot in this case, and its kind of perhaps broader ecosystem. So what does Polkadot's OpenGov actually govern over? And we can kind of split this into two main parts. So first of all, any changes, any upgrades, any downgrades in certain areas to the actual chain itself. So Polkadot is a layer 0. It really pioneered and I think was first on this concept of actually not deciding to do everything on a layer 1 and to kind of basically come up with a system that enables many layer 1s to do whatever it is they want and act as the kind of securing chain to them all. This is actually the direction that we see pretty much every blockchain moving in now. If you look at Ethereum's new roadmap, it very much details how they plan on scaling through actually taking things off of the layer 1, but using the layer 1 to secure it all. This is kind of, in some ways, a very similar concept to what Polkadot originally set out to do. And they've been doing a fantastic job. I think we have something like 52 parachains. Parachains are now moving to this more kind of core computer style model. And there's a really interesting future ahead of Polkadot. But in regards to the kind of future that Polkadot is now taking or potentially going to be taking, that has all been voted on. So Polkadot's OpenGov is responsible for essentially discussing and then voting upon any changes to Polkadot itself. So most kind of systems out there, like the internet, for example, you know, like other softwares and technologies out there, you can't really vote upon, you can't really decide to change. If you have ideas, you can't really look to implement them. Whereas something like Polkadot has come up with a system that you can do exactly that. And this is the idea of the next decentralized web, you know, kind of Web 3 is basically taking ownership back over the systems that you use and actually that run the world. It's this really kind of amazing concept that we actually see put into action with Polkadot's OpenGov, and it has been a massive success. Obviously, we have many things that are currently and have been voted on that are kind of steering the direction of Polkadot. You know, this doesn't just have to be fundamental changes to the actual chain itself. This can be things like changes to parachains, how parachains work, all of this kind of stuff. And this is what we really see coming with Jam and kind of Polkadot 2.0 as it's termed. There isn't really a Polkadot 2.0, just this kind of move towards a more computer-esque Polkadot, meaning that Polkadot is the computer and it has all these different chips, parachains in it that can all do these various tasks. And this is Gavin Wood's original idea of a kind of world computer coming to the forefront. So with OpenGov, changes to the actual network itself and the underlying layer 1 are discussed and then of course voted upon. Some people think it's a good idea, some people think it's a bad idea, and you can put forward your say, and obviously the person with the majority wins. But you can have a say, and there's various mechanisms to make sure that your say is actually fair. You know, with these proof of stake systems, some people have more stake than others, some people have more sway than others, just like in politics in real life, and Polkadot have come up with a number of mechanisms in regards to how to actually make this a little bit more fairer for everyone. So that's one thing that Polkadot OpenGov is really good for. You know, you can take on developers, you can come up with, you can decide that, you know, you want to use developer resources in certain areas, this sort of things, and obviously make the changes to the underlying chain. But another really interesting thing that you can actually do is spend the treasury. Now, what is the treasury? Well, treasury is essentially the sum of money that the Polkadot chain has essentially accrued through fees and various other mechanisms. Now, that is a big kind of pot of course, Polkadot. that people through OpenGov can choose in regards to how they want to spend it. And that process, and I know it very familiarly as someone who not only submitted a Polkadot OpenGov proposal, but actually won one, essentially sees people proposing something on Polkadot's OpenGov, and ultimately the community get to decide on whether they think it is worth spending the money on or not. So in our case, it was for 6 months worth of content that we have very nearly completed, and we will most probably be going for another 6 months. But it could be anything. It could be people want to design something on Moonbeam, or they want to design something in regards to chain analytics on Polkadot, or they want media coverage of it, or they want to, for example, sponsor AC Milan like we saw recently, or maybe a racing car team. You know, people can ultimately put for whatever proposal they want to the governance system and have it voted upon by you guys, the Polkadot holders. And I'm going to talk about how this actually has farther broader ramifications to the world at large, not just crypto specific and Polkadot specific, in just a second. But I want to kind of flesh this out even further in regards to why this is such an important thing, and actually why this is going to see Polkadot stand a damn good chance of having that killer use case built upon it. We see many parachains doing many things, and many of them could facilitate that killer use case. But with Polkadot OpenGov, what it does is it also gives people a chance to put the ideas that they have to the test. It's this beautiful kind of idea of a free market, where if you have an idea, if you have something that you think can not only bring value to yourself, but Polkadot as an ecosystem, you can go ahead and propose it and it can be voted upon. And who's to say that idea that somebody somewhere has isn't the next YouTube, isn't the next Facebook, isn't the next Uber, whatever it may be. And this can all be funded and actually facilitated through Polkadot. So with this move towards Jam, really what it's doing is it's breaking down the barriers for builders to Polkadot. Right now you need to win a parachain. It's very cumbersome and kind of expensive and quite a long process. But what Polkadot is essentially trying to do is make it so that anybody can build upon it, and they can buy just as much building power, if you will, as they need. And it really breaks down the barriers to entry, and it allows everybody to be able to build on Polkadot. Certainly that, you know, entrepreneur in his bedroom that comes up with the next killer use case. Not only is that happening, but actually that can also be funded through OpenGov. And this is a really exciting and interesting concept. And as somebody that's taken part in, I would say, tens of different governance systems, I've never seen so much excitement and such a sort of smooth operation as I have with Polkadot. And of course, not everyone's happy. There are whale games, there always have been. I know there is a way that actually if there's a low participation on a certain vote, it has to win by a vast majority of people, not just the biggest whale, if you will. So there are ways they are combating this, and of course I'm sure we'll see many get voted on into the future. And this is the whole concept. If you're not happy about something, you genuinely have the opportunity to change it as a Polkadot holder. And that's not just through your vote, that's also through campaigning for these changes. You can see how the world of possibilities really open up when it comes to OpenGov. I want to just pivot over to a more broad, real world kind of setting for all of this, because we are moving, hurtling I should say, towards a digital world where technologies just like Polkadot are essentially going to be the underlying infrastructure that operates it. And it is of the utmost importance to make sure that we have a voice in that world. And that's what these decentralized governance systems are all about. And Polkadot is absolutely trailblazing this idea. In fact, I would go as far as to say that Polkadot is the furthest ahead in this idea, and certainly the actual application of it, the trialing out of it. And it's been a huge success. We will end up seeing sort of coalitions and parties, if you will, I think, around Polkadot's OpenGov, but that's all still to come and things to be excited about. But if we think about the world that we're moving towards, we need a say. And these decentralized governance systems can actually enable that. And that say could be in regards to geopolitical issues. Let's say something is facilitated on Polkadot that perhaps isn't geopolitically acceptable. Well, actually, voters and Polkadot holders have a say in actually enabling that and potentially stopping events that could be detrimental and lead, in a very extreme case, to the loss of human life. That could be one idea of, you know, if Polkadot is an operating system of tomorrow, if it's what a lot of tomorrow's infrastructure is built on and it's global, you know, catastrophes could literally be stopped through open governance and the voting that you guys decide you want to make. That is a very extreme example, but there's other things. So we know that Polkadot has some of its tentacles in medical research and medical care, and this is a big field that is essentially being revolutionized by blockchains and of course AI and various other things. But let's say, for example, there's a specific illness or there's a specific thing you want to research medically, and that medical application is facilitated upon Polkadot, or it's a decentralized medical kind of researcher. You'll essentially be able to vote on that, and that may lead to the changing of millions, potentially billions of lives. So we're talking about a very kind of further on down the road world, but really it's a world that Polkadot is almost enabling with its OpenGov and the trialing out of this idea of a decentralized governance. And I think that is truly amazing. And just for myself, for example, in the use case that we use Polkadot OpenGov for, 6 months worth of funding, and of course we won that. It's not just me that's done that. We see many of the larger channels out there, many of the larger kind of platforms more generally, like Real Vision, Altcoin Daily, or Crypto Banter go for a proposal. There was a lot of kind of drama around that, and I think unfortunately that was either removed or they didn't win. We've seen most major outlets, including I think CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, don't quote me on that, all put proposals forward and actually win them and be allocated the funds to cover Polkadot and get it out there to the masses. And I think this is a spectacular thing. We see taxis in Berlin. We see all sorts of things being enabled by Polkadot OpenGov, and we're just talking about advertising here. In the future, I actually think we're going to see lives get changed by OpenGov. So I better go. The rain is coming, and I'm still on the lookout for bears. We do not want to end up on a Cointelegraph article. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Let me know your thoughts about Polkadot OpenGov. I really do think this is an experiment that may lead to millions, potentially billions of people's lives changing, hopefully for the better. We'll find out. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. All in Crypto here. See you soon.